3, 2, 1. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Jeffrey Sapon podcast. Today, it's just me. We are doing a Q&A today, so that should be fun. We just passed 25 episodes on the channel, 25 episodes that I've uploaded. This might come out when I release the 26th one. So we passed 26 episodes. And when I hit 25, I gave a few of my friends a message just to ask them if they had any questions that they always wanted to ask me. I think that celebrating milestones is very important. And I think whenever you begin on a journey, it's important to recognize within yourself when you're actually making little achievements. And I never seen the subscriber count as a really good measurement of progress, because subscribers don't really have anything to do with you. But the output that you do, how many episodes, how many reps you do, when you turn up, how you can be consistent, that's always seemed to me a good measurement of progress and success. So when I hit 25, I thought it would be a good chance for me to, instead of asking other people questions, get them to ask me questions. And so I asked anyone who's been on the podcast. So if I didn't ask you, it's not anything personal, just because you haven't been on the podcast. So hurry up and get on the podcast, essentially, is what I'm saying. But yeah, so I asked everyone who's been on the podcast to send me 3 questions, and it's funny because they ended up having all the way added up to 25 episodes. So that's interesting. But yeah, so I'm here to answer some questions. Haven't gone through the questions; they're all very personal. So it's very interesting to see how my friends kind of view me. So like, we were just doing friends stupid stuff, and then when it comes down to stuff like this, it's like deep personal questions, and it's like, what is your meaning of life? I'm like, oh gosh. To be fair, I've kind of done that because that's the kind of questions I ask on this podcast. But yeah, so that's what we're here to do. So thank you for watching. Might be a long one, but I'm very much looking forward to it. So let's start. So question 1 is from Ella, who's my little sister. She goes, what inspired you to start this journey? Good question. I think when you mean journey, I think you're talking about just the podcast itself, not just the whole life journey, because I've been on that for a very long time. I think the podcast I've always wanted to start for a couple of years, and if you ask Pelham, or if you ask someone who's not known me a long time, I've always said I'm going to start a podcast. And sometimes I record an episode here or there. There's been many iterations of this. When I was in uni, I did some with Pelham. When I was in my master's, I did some with Kieran. So we just always wanted to do this as an idea, but it was just the consistency and really like committing to it. I just never had the time to do it. But like, I think if I really inspect myself, it's probably I've always been an ambitious person, and I've always understood that if I didn't make the start, I wouldn't do it. And I think the older you get, the more you realize that, and I didn't want to grow up and feel regret in my life in any way. I didn't want to grow up and feel regret in my life in any way. And so that's a big part of like me figuring that out, and making the progress and making the steps to put this podcast in place, and just asking people, and just shooting the first episode and the second episode, and just the consistency of that. And I think that I thought that I got to a point in my life where I was ready to make the move, and I think that's very important. You have to feel ready, but also you have to understand that you'll never truly be ready. So I think I'd gone to a point where I was like, I feel as ready as I'm ever going to be. I'm having good conversations with friends, just on privately, and it's like, we should have recorded that. And I was like, I'm actually going to take up on myself to actually do that, and just kind of figuring that out and kind of adapting quickly to what that expectation that you put on yourself and all of that. So that's what inspired me to start this journey. Having an ambitious mentality always, but also not wanting to feel regret. So something pushing me forward and something to run away from. Question 2 by Andre. What sparked your passion for literature, particularly poetry, since high school, and how do you envision incorporating it into your future endeavors? I think I've always been curious about literature. I've always been curious about storytelling. I know there are memories of me when I was a kid, just sitting there reading. I've had the curiosity within me. There's just a part of my character, a part of my person, who I am. What inspired me since high school? I think there was definitely a shift from when I was young. I wanted to pursue being a footballer, and so that was definitely my focus, wanted to be a footballer. But when I couldn't do that, I had a period of time where I was kind of listless. But I always liked literature. I remember as a kid, I used to just read like Sharab, and like I used to just go through books really quickly, and I had a good relationship with a librarian who'd like give me a couple of books because she just understood that I had this innate curiosity about it, and she kind of really helped me push me that direction. And so yeah, I think since high school it's just been an understanding that as I get older I care less and less about what other people think of me, and I care more about my interests. I care more about the things that I want to do and why I want to do those things. And so like that was a big part of it. It's like I got older and I was like, oh, okay, like I don't care if someone likes poetry because I like poetry, and then just being more confident to share that with people. So that's really helped. How do I envision incorporating into my future? It's a big question, man. I don't know. I think it's just doing as much as I can and seeing where it ends up. I think with anything in life, you can plan 10 years from now, 15 years from now, and I have an idea, but I don't know. Like you said, since high school, I've changed so much. Like, 10 years from now, I might not even be on. No, I'll definitely be on poetry. I'll definitely be on literature. But like, I might not in what capacity. I don't know. Is an answer to your question. It might be something I do every day, but it might be something I just do for fun. I think either of those, I don't really mind. Question 3, Pelham, which writer has influenced you the most? It's very difficult when people ask me this question, because I don't think any specific writer has influenced me. I'm very much driven by my interests. So if you see my library now, it's just a bunch of esoteric topics that I think that are interesting, and then I'll just buy a book in that moment do I think is interesting, not even caring about who wrote it. Over time, I'll start to like, okay, maybe Jung or something is interesting to me, or like Robert Pischek or something, or like all these different writers that I grow to like their works, but I wouldn't say a specific writer interests me. I mean, I remember like if I start from the beginning, Skullduggery Pleasant was a big book for me. Sharab was a big book for me. Alex Rider, all these books very early on. I used to read like a whole series, and then I got a bit older, and obviously I remember Pelham, you asked the question. I remember us talking about like Hemingway, us trading Hemingway or Tolstoy or Dostoevsky, like or like Solzhenitsyn. Like you go through different phases of your life, and I think different phases have different people who you're are like really drawn to. The books I'm reading now, I'm reading The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's a Brazilian guy, but it's a good book. It's a really good book. It's a really like spiritual book about chasing dreams and chasing like chasing dreams and all of that. It's very like spiritual and esoteric, and I really like that kind of topics. And then I'm also reading The Fighter's Heart by, can't remember the name of it, but it's like this I can't remember the name of the author, sorry, but it's like, so this book, practical real life experience about this person who like trains martial arts in like Thailand, and goes to jiu-jitsu in Brazil, and does all these different things, and like both of those I just find interesting, and so I think I'm at that stage now where not really about the writer itself per se, but more about the topics that I feel are most similar to the person I am now. That's kind of where I am. Rev, does being active impact your creativity? Absolutely, 100%. This question is a very good question, by the way. Thank you for asking this question, because it gets me to talk about it. But yes, this is something I've always tried to consciously maneuver ever since I realized I was a creative, because initially I was an athlete, and so I used to run around playing football as a kid, and like there was this like kind of like stereotype that people who did that didn't read, but I was the guy who read and like doing that. So as I got older and older, I realized that that's actually probably a competitive advantage. I think especially for creators, right, our mind space is chaos, because like that's how you become creative. You have to either go through something or just have a mind space where your mind is always just kind of just thinking about. You always feel separated from the external world. I think if you're not creative, you might not understand that. But there's this ambient feeling of that you are not really existing within the world. You're more existing within your head. And creativity is a conduit for you to express that to other people who you might not be able to just explain in just simple words, But I think when you become active, when you do something, exercising or even in a sport, you have to get out your mind. You have to really embody yourself, and like in the literal sense, you have to think of your body and just move your instincts. And I think balancing those two and learning to, because anything not balanced is not, it's not good long term. But like learning to balance those two things, I've realized is something that's helped me become more creative. Like practical example is like I go running 3 times a week, or I try to, but I do. But I do running 3 times a week, and like every time I'm running nowadays, I don't have headphones on, and so my most creative ideas, some people I want to talk to on a podcast, or like an idea that I want to write about my Substack, those come from those moments where it's just me doing something physical enough that I can't just be so in my head, but like, physical enough that I can also have that meditative kind of state, and that helps me have clarity, in those moments where it's like I'm not focused on the labor of life, and I can just be creative. And I think the more you do that, the more you find different aspect in that. They're not just those moments that help you be creative, but outside of those moments, you realize you're not just a creative. And I think that's very important too. You don't want to be Van Gogh, cutting our ears off because we're stuck in a dark room trying to paint. It doesn't make any sense. It's not sustainable. The world we live in today is far more embracing of just like being able to do multiple things at once. We have to be entrepreneurs, we have to be creators, we have to be family, we have to just balance so many books. And I think that the active part of your life is just as important if you want to do this long term. I think that's always the goal. If you want to do it long term, because I think that's where success comes at. How long can you do this at a high level? And if you get better and better over the years, the only way to do that is be active and be creative at the same time. Kieran, do you believe that we can find true happiness and peace in a world designed to make us endlessly chase the dragon of ambition? That's a very good question. First off, I think it's a leading question. I know you didn't mean to, but I think it's a leading question. I don't believe the world is designed to endlessly make us chase the dragon of ambition. I think the thing within ourselves is the thing that does that. And I think we've talked about this many times. Maybe is the aspect of ourselves feeling like we're not quite there yet, we're not quite worthy of just being enough, and so we feel like once we achieve something, then we can really make our existence mean something. And sometimes you can be aware of that and still do it. I think sometimes you need to really do that to drag yourself out of that the hole, whatever hole you're in. I think that's comes with progress. You're like, okay, cool, I need to do this, and even though it's a kind of destructive, that in the long term would be good for you if you can really balance it. It's just really is a tightrope that we're walking. But absolutely, I think we can find true happiness. I truly believe that true happiness is found in purpose and meaning and hard work. But you have to be able to choose the hard work with yourself. So I think a lot of people feel I'm a very happy person, and I see that and I understand that. It's because I'm having fun with life. I'm doing hard things every day. I really have a strong conscience, and so if I don't do things that I'm supposed to be doing, I kind of chastise myself for it. And the only way I can balance this is by just doing the thing. And so if I do the thing more and more times, I'm now a bit lighter and a bit more happier to really happy with my existence. I think that part of that is chasing ambition. I don't think it's the chase of an end. I don't think it's an endless chase. I think at some point, you'll reach a point where you would have achieved the things you want, and you won't have any more motivation if that's why you're doing it. And so you got to make sure that even in this moment that we're doing it, we have to try to balance it, where we understand that even though we're chasing ambition, it's a fruitless endeavor in terms of what the overall process of our life is, and we can get there only if we ourselves enjoy the process. And people have said that before, enjoy the process, but truly understand that these moments are what you've created. You've created these moments to be better, and you've created these moments to try to achieve the things you want to do. So don't waste them by getting them mixed up with the whole process itself. This part is what matters, not the endless dragon chasing that goes towards the abyss. Question 6 by Jason. If you could pick one thing to be acknowledged for, what would it be? It's a very good question, Jason. I think locally, if I could pick one thing to be acknowledged for, I would want to inspire people. I think that's very important. I don't know if it's an element of time or element of our society, or even close to that, just how London is right now in our generation. But there is very few people who inspire others by just daring to do crazy things, by daring to do things that they understand that it's very difficult, but it's worth the effort. And I understand why, because once you start doing it, you understand that it's just effort. it's time, it's attention, it's energy, it's all these things that over a long-term period it just drains you. And especially when you have to live in London too, it's such a difficult thing. But I think for your own sake, inspiring other people makes you inspiration to yourself. And I think that has something to do with how human beings connect with each other. That if I can inspire you to do things, and I see that it's not even about me, it's like that inspiration is whatever, that's for you. As soon as it sparks, that light sparks within you, and you go off and you do whatever thing, I'm not responsible for that. All I've done is shown you an aspect of yourself through me, and I think that's so important. And if I can do more of that, I can become a happier version of myself, because it means I'm trying to be more like who I really am on my core, because that's how you inspire other people, by showing them who you are, but like, with style and grace and like effort, so it's actually really good, whatever it is that you choose to do. And then through that, they can do that themselves, and then it's an effect that happens. And I think, and even on that topic too, if I think globally, I think probably chasing excellence, if I could remember for it, I think that's the aspect of maybe ambition or maybe ego, but I think it's pure ego, as in I know what I can do and I know what I'm capable of, and so I have to chase excellence. And if I think that I can do that and show other people that they can do that within themselves, I think that's the true testament of love for humanity. That that humanity can do so much better, so much more than just our base desires, all the things that drag us down, because all that division and hate and all these things that we can focus on. But actually, if you try to chase excellence within all aspects of your life, then you become the person that people will base their journey on. It's like a ricochet. I started this journey because of other people, because they were trying to chase excellence. So all I have to do is just carry on that torch and show for the next generation or the next people that come after me. That's the goal. That's the hope anyway. Question 7 by Connor. What would be the most important life lesson you would teach your children? Damn. I think 2 things. That life demands commitment very early on. I think you have to just, whatever you choose to do, that it demands commitment and time and effort and sacrifice. It's something that everyone takes a long time to get and to understand. I think I'm still understanding it. In any form that I think I understand it, it's not even totally, because it does demand commitment. Whatever you want to do demands time and effort. It's taken away from anything else you were doing before. And that process of change, going from that version of you to this version of you, is so hard, but it's something that will make you so much stuff up within yourself, because you can't take that baggage forward. You have to leave some there. You have to let the phoenix burn, the fire within yourself burn off the ashes, the lesser parts of you, before you can be reborn. And I think reborn, whatever that means, because we're still the same person. But I think like once you do that, you start to understand that, oh, okay, like I could have made this choice way before, I just wasn't committed to it. And so that's the first thing I try to teach my kids. Life demands commitment. And then the second thing is probably that you're already free. You're free. You can be whoever you want to be. No one cares. And it's fine. It's fine. And who you are is important to you and important to everyone around you, because it's a process of refinement. And I think if my kids can understand that early on, that life demands commitment, so they can do whatever they want, but they have to be committed early on. And also they're free. That they're free to do whatever they want. They're free to make mistakes. They're free to disappoint me. They're free to not disappoint me. Whatever they choose to do, I love them for who they are. But also, they should love themselves for who they are, because once you're free, you're not beholden to people's expectations of you. You're not beholden to society. You are, in the sense that you choose to do the things that everyone else does, and you choose to play the game. But at the end of the day, you are free to do stupid stuff like record podcasts. And it's not stupid. I'm saying that. See, even those negatives perceptions of my own work is that British kind of like, oh, let me be humble. But no, it's not stupid, and I really do put so much effort into this, and it causes me stress, and but again, it's a part of that understanding that you're already free to do whatever you want to do. Question 8, Pelham, how do you think AI will affect writing? This is a very good question. To be honest, I have no idea. I think no one. I read this thing recently, and it's talking about how we're very bad at like making future predictions. Anything we do, predictions of the future, is terrible. We didn't predict the iPhone. We couldn't predict the internet. anything we predict about AI is going to be wrong. But if I had to answer the question, I'll give you two, not really answers, but I'll give you two routes that it could go down. One, that it could be super helpful in the fact that I think the internet right now it's a node. People are just kind of segregated into their own corner of the internet without being able to really attach to other nodes, to other people. So it's all sections and all communities. But what AI could afford you to do is to interconnect with other communities. This video that I'm making right now could be broadcast out to millions of people, but the only way I can do that is by playing the algorithm. No one understands the algorithm. No one understands the game that you have to play. Some people don't even want to play the game. But if I could find a community and really tunnel this to them, then same in writing, it could be something that they could enjoy and I could benefit from. I think AI might be able to help with that because it might be able to show you, understand the scope of the internet, the information, understand what you need to do, and the people that are checking for those kind of content and really like push your content towards them. I think AI could do that. On the other side, AI could make us obsolete, because if I can write just as good as anyone else, if an AI version could write just as good as anyone else, then what's the point? It doesn't take any effort for them to do it. And so I don't know, but I also think that, as a pushback to my last point, I also think that experiences will become very much important. So people won't be able to just write about fantasy stories that aren't researched, they haven't gone through, or like they haven't really taken time to actually live that life. I think the experience of something is something that you will become way more important, because people will want that human touch as we become more and more technological. But again, I have no idea. I don't want to say anything on this channel that you're going to clip in a few years' time and be like, remember when you said this? But yeah, I remember when I said AI was going to make us all obsolete. But we still write anyway. We still dance anyway. Question 9. Jasmine, do you believe that peace can actually be achieved in this world, realistically? I think on a global level, no. Just because human beings are human beings, we kind of thrive on the fact that we are not the same people. I think the conflict breeds progress in a sense, because it's evolution. The stronger survive, and even if we think the stronger survive in a sense isn't the best way forward, is the only way that we found out to really produce results that are sustainable long term. Having said that, I think peace in a smaller community sense is possible. It's just very difficult because people want to expand it, and you want to show your peace to the next village, and they have their own perception of how they live their life, and then it becomes again conflict. But I think within your smaller community, you can definitely achieve peace, and within yourself, that has to be the goal. The goal is to be peaceful within yourself, to be calm within who you are, be able to embrace the people around you without any sort of struggle or internal strife, which is difficult, obviously, because we're almost different people on different days. But I think if you can achieve that, and you can be peaceful and just show love and appreciation and do all the other things that you want to do, then the peace on the wider world and the global scale doesn't really matter as much. You can kind of tap out of that dunya, as I call it, like I made it up, as the dunya, as we call it. It's like the world exists kind of apart from you, and you do your own part of it, but the peace within yourself is the only peace that you can really strive for, and can only really be achieved over a long term. Question 10, Kieran. Is the solution for all of us to keep expanding, exploring, and discovering, or are we chasing forced distractions? I think the first part of your question is an answer to itself. I think, yeah, absolutely. The only solution is to keep expanding and exploring and discovering, because life is an adventure. Like, if anyone could say that, I think we can all say that, especially. But yeah, 100%, life is an adventure. We don't know where we're going to be in 10 years' time. This whole thing is ridiculous, but it's also brilliant. It's I think you have to truly believe that's true, and it's not a delusion. I think it's about discovering. Life is about discovery, and it's about finding different versions of yourself which you can truly be satisfied and happy with, understanding that this version of yourself that you're happy with today is not going to be the same thing you're happy with tomorrow. If you stagnate, that's going to bring you stress, and that's going to bring you negative thoughts and all these things. And understanding all of that, that's part of the controls. And I think that's a feature, not a bug. It's a feature of life, the fact that we always think we're distracting ourselves, but from what, a sense, is what I would ask. There is no journey, there is no destination to this journey. Almost the only destination is death. we're not meant to be anywhere. We're not meant to do anything apart from try to exist and try to live life and try to be happy within ourselves. And so, yeah, 100%. The solution is to keep expanding, but to do that genuinely, to do that with a goal of striving to be true to yourself, and I think it's hard. It's obviously harder, easier said than done, but like, what else are you going to do? You can't wallow in your own self-doubt. I mean, you can, but how long? You can't understand that life is difficult, and obviously it's difficult for everyone. Different. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm on the side of the better version of you. And the better version of you understands that what I'm saying is kind of true, but maybe doesn't understand how to get there. And that's fine. Like, that's the point of life. That's the point of people around you. That's the point of ideas. That's the point of friends, to show you that, different times we're all going to be on different waves. Someone might be riding the wave up there, but then you understand that at some point that wave's going to come down, and so they'll need you. But just to show you, like, maybe in the way I act, in the way I speak, in the way I exist, that you see a version of you in that, and to show that, oh, that's true, like, that's also possible for you. It's just, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of years and years of like sacrifice and like extreme prejudice towards your doubts and towards your fears. Question 11, Andre, what are the 3 most important lessons you've learned from your trip to Ghana, and how do you see yourself using those lessons in the UK? So, immense gratitude. I think it's actually crazy. Now you ask that question, it's actually crazy when I think about it, that I was actually born in Ghana. And that's the gratitude that makes me realize, because it's a very real thing when you go back to Ghana, understanding that if you were born here, the chances of you staying here for the rest of your life is very, very high, because there is no outlet. Very few people come here in the younger years. They come in mostly when they're older or more formed as people. But I came here very young, and yeah, man, just gives me immense gratitude, and I think that's where I draw my happiness from. If anyone, like, people have asked that question in this, but it's because whenever I am sad, I understand that, like, holy, that's crazy. Like, I really came from there, and the progress that I've made, the progress that my family's made, the opportunity that I have to actually do things, it's immense, and it just fills me up with gratitude. No matter what I'm going through, and I'm just always struck with wonder, just by the little things in life, because I understand that things can be so much more different. I think obviously that's what traveling does for you, but actually really meditating on that every single day. But the gratitude that you have for the things that you have in your life, just the simple stuff that you're not really, nothing in this world is promised to you, like there's things that you have, just even this mic or headphones or phone, like none of these are promised, and I'm just lucky to have them, and I'm grateful for them every single day. And yeah, and also taught me hard work. I think going to Ghana, and whenever I've gone to Ghana and come back, has really just been a reset. When I started this podcast, truly was the first time was when I first came up from Ghana a couple of years ago, and I was like, no, I have to do whatever I want to do, because A, time is short, but also B, like, the amount of hard work that it takes to do this is incomparable to the amount of hard work they're doing over there. They do hard physical labor every single day with expectations and with responsibilities that I understand, because that's a part of me too, but like, I don't have to deal with every single day, and they have to deal with that. And if I'm complaining about just the listless list of life that I have here, all these choices I have, and that's a different war, obviously, it's different battles, obviously. But that is a very real battle with very real scars and with very real consequences. This battle, I think I can at least begin to fight. I think that's what Sales has always taught me. Yeah, another thing is a sense of privilege, and I think that's in our culture, that's apparently a bad word to say, but no, that's true. A sense of privilege in that, the fact that I'm privileged in the time that we live in. Privileged in the things that we can do, privileged in the things that we can say, privileged in the fact that I'm even speaking this language now. But yeah, once you really combine those three things together, it's happiness, so gratitude, and then hard work, and then privilege, and understanding the privilege that you have. It's just a battery on your back to always kind of take that lesson and apply it here, because you understand, oh, that's your competitive advantage. The things that are your disadvantage is your competitive advantage, if you can learn to differentiate your perspective on them. And so coming from a third world country, for me now is my competitive advantage, because I'm like, oh, like, you have no idea the things that drive me. You have no idea the things that my family have had to go through for me to be here. You have no idea the battery or the motivation that I have, because I'm not motivated just to achieve things because I've got nothing else to do. I'm motivated to achieve things because this is legacy for me. This is a battle of attrition. I can understand that over the long term, I'm just going to keep building and showing that the best version of myself, almost, the champion of my of my village kind of mentality. Best version of myself also represents the best version of my culture. I think that's an important. It's not something I think about every single day, but it's definitely something that whenever I go to Ghana and come back here, I'm reminded of. Question 12, Rev. How do you manage to stay so positive? What is the headspace / mantra do you have, and do you find it helps? This is a very interesting question, because a lot of people have asked me this, like in person, and also like that's how they view me, as a very positive, happy person, and that's actually intentional. So thank you. I think I'm very aware of myself. I think I'm extraordinarily aware of who I am and what I go through and my emotions and the things I feel. And so, like, I think whenever I have negative thoughts or negative perceptions of myself, I try to understand why. I think firstly, to go back a bit, when I was younger, I always wanted to be a happy person. I always wanted to figure out how do I become the best version of myself. That was like the very thing I started with when I was like super young. And so it meant finding that information. So I read a lot. I read everything almost. When we were back to ancient Greece, like I read a lot. I read everything, and the only thing I found was to be aware of yourself. Like it all really boil down to it. Like meditation. I meditated for like 6 months straight at time. So I was understood about feelings and about thoughts and about how to turn negative thoughts into positive thoughts. And I think part of being aware of yourself and understanding what state makes you the most happiest. And for me, it's grueling hard work. I have to be in a state where I feel like I'm chasing things I'll never really truly get to. And I think that's different for other people. Some people might not like that. People complain about that all the time. Say that you work too hard. I don't work hard enough. I'm not doing half the things I want to do. I do way more. And I think, yeah, you might see that as negative. But in that lies the difference, where some person might see that as negative, but I see that as that's the only way that I can almost justify the day. And so if I can start the day hard, right, I can start the day with the hardest thing I do, which is usually what I do by lifting weights in the morning. Anything else that day is easy. It's easy for me to deal with. And even though it's a hard work, I see that hard work as part of the training almost, because I've begun my day like that. So it's not really a mantra, but I think it's a way of being. I start my day with the hardest thing I do, and everything I do during that day is something I want to do. So as some of you might know, I plan my days. And so if I want to do something, maybe record a podcast or speak to a friend, I'm doing it because I want to do it. None of the things I do because I have to do it. And I think that really helps have that positive outlook on it, because I feel grateful to actually get to do it. Some of the mantras I tell myself, I think things are happening for you, not to you. You have some sort of control over them. If you don't like them, don't be there. I don't really do negativity. I think people who know me knows that when I sense a negative situation, I'm like, no positivity, no negativity. And I might be tongue in cheek, but it's true. Like if I feel I'm in a negative place, I will remove myself, because you don't need to be in that. You don't need to be in any negative spaces, because it doesn't help. Like, you're living this existence. All you have is your time. At the end of the day, that's going to get taken from you too. Why spend it around negative people? Obviously try to help people and understand where they are. And obviously I'm not like that, like cutthroat with it. I wouldn't just leave you, but I would try to make you positive too, to make you understand that, look, like whatever moment we're going through, whatever thing that's happening is self-contained. It's not something that should, like reflect heavily on who you are, reflect on your day or anything like that. That having that kind of mentality about it, letting things that, one thing is really important is understanding what to be taken seriously and laughing at the rest. I know what stuff matters in life. I know what stuff deserves my full attention and my serious kind of mode. That very rarely happens. Most of the time I just laugh at things because it's funny. It's part of the adventure of life. It's part of the lack of control that you have about life. Things are just happening all the time, everywhere. No matter how much you plan, no matter how much you intentionally want things to go well, they almost certainly will go wrong, but also they'll happen far better than you expected also sometimes. And so like understanding that, I think it's something you just build over time, the positive mentality. You just build slowly over time by just showing yourself evidence that you are exactly where you want to be in life. First off, you're chasing something that you think is meaningful and genuine. That's second off. And then being very intentional about your relationships with people around you. Like everyone I have around me, I want to spend time with. Like I wouldn't be around you if I didn't. And so it's like when I do spend time with you, because I'm trying to have fun, and that's why people say you're positive, because I'm truly think life is fun, and not to say that it isn't difficult. And again, that's why I remind myself every single day by doing hard things and training. And like, if you saw my life, you probably would not want that life. Everyone says you're so positive, but if I showed you the things I do every single day, I'm intentional about that happiness, because I really want to keep that. And there's routine and there's structure and there's like grueling hard work and pain, but to me, that's kind of the point, and that's difficult to explain to some people sometimes. That's not some matcha stuff. Like, at the end of the day, I'm a poet. I'm very sensitive to my emotions and understanding who I am. But putting effort into that, it's important to me too. And so that's what I do. I do extraordinarily difficult stuff. I'm aware of my stuff, and I try to have fun. And that's, I guess, happens to be positive, which is good. Question 13, Connor. When you do feel upset about something, what are some of the actions, thought process that might help you remain positive? I think, like I said before, it's just intentional thinking about this thing. Meditation really does help with this, to understand that your thoughts aren't a reflection of what the thing is. So if you feel upset about something, say something that's deeply personal to you, understanding that, okay, first off, we have to separate the two things. You're feeling about the thing and then what the thing is. What the thing is almost something you can't control in that moment. Maybe that's why you feel upset about it, because you have a lack of control about it. And how you feel is very internal and personal. You deal with that first. You deal with your internal and personal. So you have to just work through it. That's how I do it sometimes. By the way, I'm not saying this is something I do every single time. Sometimes you will catch me upset about something, but it is rare, because I understand that whatever that thing is separate from the person that's involved in it or whatever. I think Marcus Aurelius says something along the lines of, if you do not think something affects you, then it doesn't affect you. If you don't think you've been harmed, then you've not been harmed. And that might be easier said than done again, but these things are easier said than done. When you achieve them, you have extraordinary success and you have outlier success, and people will look at you and think that, oh, like, how do you never get affected by things? Because you put the effort in on the front end, and the front end is about understanding that if something doesn't affect me, as in like if I'm not truly like affected by it, maybe on a physical level, or maybe on a emotion, like a personal level, and maybe it's an action someone else has done, it depends how I react to it. It really does depend on how I react to it from what that thing becomes. That may be esoteric, and I think more the practical sense of it is really, I think meditation really helps with this. So meditate a lot. I meditated for, like I said before, like 6-9 months in every single day, and that was a period of time that made me really understand my feelings, understand that, oh, okay, sometimes I feel things like this, but the clarity of the situation is completely different. And maybe I feel this today, but tomorrow I feel completely different. So like understanding your feelings are like ephemeral, like they do happen in the moment. They're part of the body that you have, and they rise up from your subconscious and all these things, and like that's different from a thing. And so it's learning to separate that, and then coming back to yourself, really learning how to come back to yourself, and that comes from meditation. And labeling thoughts for what they are. If it's an anger thought, okay, why are you angry? And I do this a lot. Why am I angry about this thing? I'm not angry at the person, I'm angry about the thing. Okay, what did that person say? Okay, it's true. And usually we're angry about things that we feel are true. Get to the bottom of that, and then get to the bottom why does the truth hurt? And it's an action that you're refusing to make, or it's a realization that you're refusing to acknowledge. You don't have to do anything about it, but like that's a big step from I'm angry at this person's a terrible person. Those are some of the things that help me. And again, it's not 100% foolproof. You will get angry. you will be mad. Just accept that as also part of your feelings, and you're a human being and you're on this journey. So it's like, be patient with yourself. Pelham, who is your favorite comedian and why? Good. Thank you for finding the question, not about the deep realities of my mind, and it's fine. I'm complaining about it, but I'm only joking. I do love these type of questions. I think that's why you guys ask them, because you know that like I live for this. This is the game. I love the game. But yeah, who's your favorite comedian and why? It's probably between Patrice O'Neill and Dave Chappelle. I think Patrice O'Neill is one of the funniest individuals ever. I don't know, but like I think he's one of the funniest comedians ever, certainly because of how he is, man. Like, if any of you haven't seen Patrice, go and look up Patrice O'Neill. Type in his comedy skits called Elephant in the Room. One of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life. He's just naturally funny, and I think that's an aspect of someone who just reached the pinnacle of his craft by just learning how to fuse who he is with what the best parts of his craft needs to be. And I think I think that's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. But I think Dave Chappelle's on the other side of it. It's again someone who's reached the pinnacle of his craft, but has done it through style and technique, and like he's done it the hard way, which is like you have to really play the whole game. You can play the whole. Patrice was not playing the game. He just did not want anyone to like him. Did not care. It's much harder to do what Chappelle has did. Play the game to the highest quality. Appear the fool. Play the jester. Really, appear the fool, but like say some really important stuff. You know, it's like what Jay-Z did. I think those two are the pinnacle of their respective fields. Like, you know, you play the game, you win it your way, and I think that's if I had to pick a goal for myself, one of those is something I want to be. I would be the pinnacle of my sport, whatever I choose to do, but do it completely not with the game, or play the game and do it completely my way. Whichever you pick, but I think those two are probably my favorite comedian. 15, Jasmine. What is your priority in the next few years? As in, is it intrinsic happiness, money, family, relationships, or is it your podcast? I think the best way I describe it is steady progression on the macro level, but intensity on the micro level. So I think on the bigger picture, I think definitely just improving everything I'm doing. You know, like I can't really say, again, like I said before, exactly where this path is heading. All I know it is heading on somewhere. So I try not to think about it too much, but I think the way I process is just in the moment. Just think about the moment, the day. How can I do the most things in the day? And I think that's, for me, that's just how, like I said before, how I find meaning and purpose. By thinking about what I can do in that day, how much I can achieve in that day, how can I get that day, you know, after that day I feel like I'm happy with myself. And I think that's the most important thing. I don't chase happiness anymore. I think happiness is a byproduct of the things that you do. So I think happiness is a byproduct for me of like the podcast, or like the poetry, or like hanging out with friends and hanging out with family and doing all these different things. And I think that's maybe not my goal in the next couple of years. Obviously money will be very helpful, so if you want to sponsor me, come. But again, that's also not the goal. Definitely not the intrinsic goal. But yeah, definitely podcast is the focus, to be more consistent in it. I think in anything you really show progress after a few years, but especially in podcasting. No one cares the first couple of years, because no one really, first of all, you're not good enough. You don't say things in most just succinct level enough. Your guests aren't good enough. Like, you have no you have no leverage. You have nothing to give. Although, again, not nothing to give, but you have not enough quality or value to give to people for them to pay attention for a long enough period of time. That comes after you've done that yourself, and you've done the front end work of just doing it 2-3 years yourselves. And so I guess this is still the birth of the podcast. Like, there's going to be the next 100 episodes. I've done 25, and that was probably the hardest. Probably the first 25 is probably the hardest, but the next 25 are going to be difficult too, and the next 50 and 100 and 500. So it's like that's really the main goal of it. It's something it becomes an aspect of yourself, rather than just, you know, you're trying to reaching goals and ticking of charts. You're really just, you know, more of expression of who you are. And I think that's, if you ask me what my priorities is next year, simple answer is to just keep doing what I'm doing, steady progression on a macro level, and then intensity on a micro. So just really, really focus on the things I'm doing, remove all the fluff, all the things I don't want to do, and just try to live according to my morals and really who I am each day, while having fun and being light about this whole thing, because at the end of the day, it's really not that serious. Question 16, Jason. Unlimited time, unlimited resources, no fear of anxiety. What is the one thing you do? This is an amazing question, Jason. I think I stole this question from one of my recent podcasts, because I was like, this is a very good question when I saw it. Probably build understanding. I think it's what I'm doing, but just on a bigger level. I think probably build understanding, try to build understanding between people. I really want to see in a world where we understand each other more and just see what comes out of that. I think human beings have an intrinsic, I've seen it happen live, and I think have an intrinsic version of themselves who connect to people that they think understand them. And then it goes past it. You see it go past race, color, like everything, gender. Once they think you understand them, once they think there's an understanding between two people, something is born out of that. Whatever that thing is, that I would try to expand even more. There's tangible things I would do. I'd build schools. Obviously, I build schools in Africa. I think that's one of my biggest life goals, to make a dent on Africa. Maybe the perception of Africa, or do something that changes the, not trajectory of the whole continent, but changes the perception of people on the continent, that we can be so much more than just what we have allowed tradition to kind of force us to believe, and to take the tradition and to build upon it, to take the good from our culture and the good from other cultures, to really open our minds and open our hearts. I'll do whatever I can towards that end, if I had unlimited time and limited resources. And I think that I ask myself this question a lot, actually, funny enough. Every year I ask myself, what are you afraid to do? And I think that's something I'm afraid to do this year. It's definitely the poetry. So I think, again, all comes back down to understanding self and understanding others, and trying to build that bridge between that. It's a difficult thing to do. It's definitely hard. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of time. You have to overcome fears. But again, that's the goal. That's the thing that is difficult for me. I wake up every day thinking, again? But yeah, again, let's go. Question 17, Ella. So this is my little sister again. What are 3 things you do differently if you had to start all over again? This is difficult, again, because I do live with the perspective that the reality that I'm living now is the best one. If I'd made different decisions, I wouldn't be who I am. Maybe that's okay, but again, I'm happy with who I am. Maybe that's just a perception of who I am, so it doesn't even matter about which version I am. Or, again, that's really out there. I'll just bring it back to more. What would I do? I think I understand how fear works. I think fear is an innate part of anything that you want. If you want anything, you're going to have fear associated with it, because you're going to have fear associated with actually achieving that thing or not achieving it. Not achieving it and feeling like, actually, I wanted this thing, but I didn't get it. What does that say about me? What does it say about my capabilities and me as a person as a result? Or when you achieve it, like, okay, like success, like what does that come with? Like, now you're more noticeable. All of these fears, they're just part of, it's not a bug, it's a feature. It's part of wanting things. You might want to, you don't want to lose them, you even fear gaining them. So understanding that all the fears that I had before, they don't matter. The only way through, you just have to just keep going. Go through the things, do it one by one. We'll call an episode, we'll podcast. Perform one thing, do one thing at a time, and then see it just always stack up. The pain, laying the pain, as Joe Rogan would say. I'll start earlier. I think I'll show more love to people. I think I do that anyways. Obviously, that's who I am. But I always feel like there's so many people out there that I could have been better. I think we all feel that. But I feel that intensely too. That the opposite of this happiness is just really just understanding that you could have been this so much more earlier, and you could have helped other people. Another thing I'll do differently. I'll travel more. I think definitely travel more. It's not something I've done enough. Maybe again out of that fear thing again, but that's something I'll definitely do different if I start over again. Understanding that it's an adventure and the whole world is your canvas, and so like, let's go. Let's travel to different places. Let's see different things. Let's do more outrageous stuff. Not outrageous isn't like hurt people, but like outrageous isn't like, I can't believe I did that. I'm so proud of myself. And doing that in a sense of traveling, that was definitely something that I'd want to do. But again, the life starts again tomorrow, so all these things I've mentioned, I'm going to do them again. Question 18 from Andre. From all your jobs, first to last, pick the skills you thought you were most useful and transferable. It's difficult, actually, very difficult. I think, okay, so I'll start my first job was I worked in H&M, Central London. I think that was just so many people. I saw so many people on a daily basis. I let them get over my fear of anxiety, my anxiety of just being around people. It was just like baptism of fire. I saw hundreds of people every single day. So it was like that kind of calmed me down to realizing that there wasn't that much difference between each interaction. I was very like in my head. I think any person with, maybe it was a creative aspect of me, maybe it's just IQ, whatever. I'm pretty dumb actually, so I don't know if it's IQ. I'm dumb smart, I call myself. I'm dumb smart. But no, I think that makes you overthink when it comes to interactions. And having that many interactions every single day helps, because you're like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I understand. I think once you begin to understand the dynamics of it, you go, okay, even though the anxiety still exists, I can, whatever happens, I'm okay with. And so that was the first lesson I learned: overcoming anxiety, and learning how to keep time, because I had to be there every single day on time. Not that I was every single day, but I definitely got better at that. And then I became a waiter, so that really helped. So those are my two main jobs. I did retail, and then I did waiter for couple of different places. Waiter was just people and pressure. Oh my god, the pressure and the time and just really learning how to control your emotions, because you're dealing with people, and like you'd have so much stress, and then boom, you have to turn around. It's like, hey, how can I help you? Like that's that mentality of just understanding yourself and putting yourself through that pressure cooker of what that is, the cooking industry or the restaurant industry. That was very, very informative, and that's definitely helped. And then the third one is just learning how to run a business. I'm currently in a 9 to 5, brilliant people, brilliant organization, and I'm really learning how a company runs from the inside. And so all those skills are transferable. They kind of really lead on to each other. The first one is like, okay, cool, like overcoming your anxiety and fear, because you understand that the world isn't really that serious. People don't really take it that serious. It doesn't really matter. The second one is like, okay, hard work. Like you need to work hard to make this thing successful, and you need to become better with people, understanding how to talk to people, understand how to balance that relationship that you have even as a waiter. You can really talk, you can interact them in a certain type of way, and then learn how to take that to run a business, run a company. I haven't activated that yet, but if and when I do, that's definitely something now I think I'm grateful for having done this time, and I think, I don't know what the next thing will be, but I'm grateful that I have that point in my life where so everything I do is kind of helping me. All these skills are kind of adding on and leading on to something, which I don't know what, but leading on to something bigger. Question 19, Connor. Have you experienced a very personal loss in your life that has completely changed your perception of how to approach life? For example, are you religious because of a personal hardship? I think, thank God, I've not experienced a very personal one. Thank God, I've not experienced a very personal someone close to me. I think I've had people like 2 steps removed, and I've known people react to stuff like that. And I think my approach to life has been changed by just experiences, by growing up. I think there's this thing called relative sympathy or relative empathy. I'm not sure which one it is, but it basically says you can only empathize with someone so much as what you've gone through in life. And we think we can empathize with people from all walks of life, but we can't even perceive what they're going through, so we can't really empathize with them. Understanding that within myself has made me more sympathetic to people, and just understanding that, okay, there's definitely going to be a gap between what I understand you're going through and you understand what I'm going through. But if I can just fill that gap with patience and love, then that's as much as I can do. And I think that's helped in my approach to people and to life. And even I haven't gone through stuff, they've been going through stuff and I don't understand, I'd just be like, I don't understand how to help you in this, but I do care, and I do genuinely want you to do what I'm here for you. And I think, as corny as that is, I think just even the act of saying it is important. I think it will happen in life. I think that's the thing that will happen for everyone in life, that you have to go through that, and there's no words that can prepare you for that. It's a thing that hits you like a rock. I think something that no matter how much you do prior, you still gotta go through. And I think I heard Pearson say this one thing, and it was like, you want to be the person at the funeral who is helping people, not making things worse. And I think that's something that when that happens, I want to be able to be that version for my family, that, that whatever happens in life, that I can be the person that's helping, even in those situations. And yeah, I guess that's shaped my approach to life in that sense. In the wider sense, it's more of like I'm going to positively influence people with love and positivity and like happiness, because I don't want to show them that that's also positive. That's also possible. What's possible? Possible. That's also possible. Oh my God, forget that word. That also can happen in life, and I do that by just being who I am as much as I can. But yeah, like I think in the end, like one of my favorite poets, Rumi, said this, and I really agree with it. We're all walking each other home. No matter where we're from, we're all walking each other home. And I think that's true. That's true. And so that's, if you want to ask for my approach to life and my approach to things like that, that's what it is. That is that mentality always. Kieran, do you believe there is a true point to our existence, or are we a result of cosmic happenstance or something else entirely? I think we've had this conversation so many times. But I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think growing up, I thought, yes, definitely, there is a coordination to all of this. And then when I became a little bit older, I was like, well, if you can't explain to me what this is, then I don't believe it. And that's also stupid, because I'm very limited in my understanding. And I think I've reached a point now where I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think human beings and our perception is very limited. We think we understand the world, but that's because we have to think like that. We want to think we have some sort of control. We can understand how big the universe is. That's also not good for us, because if nothing can be controlled, the universe is ever expanding. How to do anything? I think some people get stuck in that, and I think that's it's a flaw of our education system. Not to make people understand that, well, the reason we had religion, the reason we had God, because it helped put people on some sort of, it was like a program to make you understand, okay, the world can be understood through this vantage point. And if you didn't believe in the vantage point, you can go off and do your own thing. But it became a thing where humans pushed it too much, I guess, and there was negative aspects to religion, so people withdrew back. And I don't think that was also the right move either, because all that does for me, I think, is leave a gap for people, and that gap is actually worse, because now we believe there's nothing that has any meaning, which I don't think that's true. I think if you live life, you understand there is meaning in life. You just got to be able to find it, and the way to find it is to do things. But sometimes one comes before the other. People want to find a motivation for something and then do the thing, but sometimes it doesn't happen. You have to just do the thing anyway, and then you find motivation afterwards. And so I think there is definitely a truth to our existence. Again, is there a meaning to our existence? Is there like a one final answer? I think, I can't remember what book it was, but there was like this computer that they had run this simulation for hundreds of years, and then it came out with an answer, and the answer was 42. And then they were like, wait, what was the question? I think that's kind of what we're doing here. We want an answer to the meaning of life, but like, what does that question even come from? Like we want to find a meaning in life. Like, I understand the premise of the question, but like, what do we do with the answer once we receive it? I don't know. Like, what if the answer is not what you want? Like, what if my answer is different from your answer, which it most certainly is, but like, what if it's not what you want from life? And then what, you're gonna have to not just reject it? So you might as well reject it anyway. So I think in the end, it's about human beings have the ability to see patterns in life. That's what differentiates us from a lot of creatures. We can see patterns, and then we can act on those patterns, and then we can like relate it to our life, and then just keep going forward. I think that's what most of existence is. See the patterns in your life, and if you have an overall structure for that pattern, so you call out God and say that's what's driving these patterns, you put meaning in that, then that's good for you, and that's good, and you can continue doing that. But to say we have no existence because you can't understand the patterns, or you can't understand where it's all heading, I think is also like, well, why are you doing that? It's my question is, like I understand existentialism, and I understand a little bit nihilism, but my point is, why have that perception which only negatively impacts your life? I think Might call it reality, but I disagree with that. Again, that's a conversation we can have again, which I think we should have. It would be a very interesting conversation. 21, Jasmine. Where do you stand on the concept of forgiveness? Is it hard, easy? Do you believe in true forgiveness, etc.? I think, of course, it's hard. Of course, it's hard. True forgiveness is very hard. You can only forgive other people if you forgive yourself. It's the old mantra. I think in life, the process of forgiveness is integral because that's where you start. You start by forgiving yourself for all the mistakes you made when you were unconscious, I would say. Like, before you even realized that you were making mistakes, you were doing things because that's how you were taught. And some people just need to hear that, we're all just waiting for the right words to hit our ears, and then like I said about patterns, we take that and we go off. And sometimes there's someone on the internet telling us we can forgive ourselves. I think you're all amazing, every single one of you, every single one of you watching this, every single one of my friends or even people I don't know. You're all amazing in your own unique ways, and it's hard for you to see it because you don't forgive yourselves. I'm like that too. I'm no better than anyone, but that's one thing I've realized, that you can really love yourself once you forgive yourself for the things you haven't done or the things you've done that you don't like, and then you see that like you're really trying to become a better version of yourself, and we all are, and love yourself for this, and the way you can do that is for forgiveness. And I think it's a process you learn because the hate and anger really stems from deep within, and it's the point of it's what I think is a part of having a conscious, it does both ends exist. You can imagine beautiful things, but you can imagine so much darkness. And if you just allow the darkness to take over, then you lose track of those beautiful things, and like the things that are common in life, we tend to take it for granted. I do that too. I always feel like I have to just keep saying, I do this too, by the way. I'm not like some guru. I'm just a guy, with a camera and a mic, just chilling out here in a Liverpool top. But no, it's true. I do this too. But these are things I've realized, and they've helped me in life. Forgive yourself, forgive others, and then you see what happens. I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. Question 22, Rev. Would you rather know when you're going to die or how? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No one tell me. No, but it's true. It ruins the fun. There's enough to know that I am going to die, and like it took me a good long time to get my head around the fact that I'm going to die, and everyone around me is going to die, and that was like the teen angst and whatever that comes of the coming of age. But now I accept that fact, and I understand that motivates me to do things. It motivates me to be who I am. I think like I want to be able to do this. If I thought this is it's going to be something that matters to the whole world for the rest of time, I know at the end this version of me is going to die. Your cells I don't know the word, but you regenerate. That's the way. Your cells regenerate every 6 years. So literally the version of you that's watching this or me that's doing this is going to be different in 6 years time, and your mental will certainly be different. So we have small deaths every day is what I'm saying. I don't need to know when I'm going to die, because if I do that, it might affect when I'm going to do things. I think let the world be free. Let these things be up for mystery, And back in Roman days, they had this thing called providence, and they really prayed to providence because that was what things that they couldn't control was up to. It's kind of ironic. They put something they couldn't control in the God and said that's the person that controls it all. But it is what it is. It's providence. It's just things that happen in life, and the serendipity of life is part of that. And if I knew that, I would not be happy. So don't tell me. Question 23, Ella. If you had time travel, would you go to the past or the future? I think I'll go to the future, so I can see you be a woman and have kids and everything, be an uncle. I'm just kidding. I would go to the future there to see what you're like when you're my age. You're doing your own podcast or whatever you're doing. I think it's always more exciting to go to the future. I think the past is the past. Let it lie. I don't care. There's so much things I would be fascinated to see. Like literally, the history is just. But I think I wouldn't be able to change it. That's part of the nature of time travel, right? All the time travel movies, that if you change it, you cause a continuum. You break time. But yes, I wouldn't change it. So I wouldn't want to go there. I want to see the future because that's something that hasn't happened yet. And I think I'm far more excited for what's going to happen in the future than I am what's happened in the past. I'll definitely pick the future. just to see so much cool stuff happen, you know. I can't even process what's going to happen. AI, technology, nations, we might become one world with no nations, no border. Like, what's going to happen to writing? What new thing's going to come? Like, all these different things that are popping up, going to become bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think that's the future I'm going to see, hopefully, if God's help. But yeah, I think I'll definitely want to see that like 1,000 years from now. If we're like a multiplanetary species, that would be really cool. Question 24, Jason. What is your favorite aspect of your character, personality, being? What aspect of yourself that you love? My humility. I'm very humble. That's why I'm better than everyone else. No, I think I really like the fact that I'm having fun. I really like the fact that I've been able to create this life for myself where it feels fun most of the time. And I say most of the time it's like 8%. Like, even the not fun parts is fun because it's building up to the fun. You know, it's me doing the stuff that I know I have to do, the editing of these videos, or the workouts, all the stuff that, you know, that are part of it. You know, they create this moment right here, me on the camera, shining, like the sun is shining, like this moment here is just perfect. I couldn't want more. I would want much more, but you know what I mean. I couldn't ask for more in this moment right now, and I think that's an aspect of myself that maybe it's gratitude, maybe it's integrity, maybe it's whatever it is. I'm very happy that I have, you know, maybe it's personality, you know, maybe it's just something that's innate within me. It's not something I've gained along the way, but whatever it is, I'm very, very happy. That's the aspect I love myself. I love that I'm genuine. Skills that I've attained, I really like. I like that warrior poet kind of balance. You know, I really, really like that. You know, that I love sports and I'm competitive and like I want to win and like I'm ambitious, all these things. But I also love poetry and I love writing and I love ideas, and you know, the people that hang around me are both types of people, and like I like that dichotomy. I like that dichotomy. You know, that balance, and I think is balanced in any way. That I can exist in both those worlds. You know, and I like that. I like to hold myself to a high standard most of the time, but I do chastise myself. You guys don't say it, but if I do something wrong, I'm like, I should have done better, because I know I can do better, and then, like, that's just something, a voice is always in my head, and it's always pushing me to do better. But I think that's also a good thing, you know, and I like that about myself too, that I can understand both sides of it, and really, I think I like that I've taken my life in my own hands, and I live truly to my own whims, not like as like a child, but like to my own will, and I can really work for the highest version of myself, and I try to bring that into being. Not that I always succeed, but I like that at least I'm on that journey. And like I recognize so many things about myself that are positive, and that's why I love myself. And truly, I think that's not a part of it is too, like, that is you guys, is how you guys have helped me through that journey, and long may it continue. Question 25, Kieran, can we really define our lives, the ones we live out daily? Do you think the consequences of your life will be something you can live to witness, or do you have to die before knowing how it will all play out? I think we define our lives every day with every action that we do. It's a very interesting question, and I think it deserves way more of maybe deserves an essay to really think about it and like really get to the bottom of it, what I really feel. But like on the spot, I think that too. I think we define our lives every single day, and whether the consequences of it matter, I think you just got to leave that to the universe. I think the consequence will be multiplied plentyfold than you think. So whatever thing you do is like your perception of that thing is, you don't know where it's going to go, and you can't even guess, because the universe has a serendipitous way of just like taking it to the people that matter and them taking it and interpreting it their own way. We don't have any control over that. But I think the things that we do ripple out to everyone else. You know, the little like signs of love that we show, the little good things that we say to people, our friends, all these things, they ripple out, and you don't understand the influence that you really truly have, because our brains can't compute that. I think that's why it's so important to just be honest and be really who you are, because that version of you, who you are, there's someone out there that loves that. And I think that's something I had to understand before. Like, being stuck around people that I didn't think could understand who I really was, because I was just this weird blending of all these different things and all these different versions of myself. And then I just became that, and I just realized, oh, like, not only do people that are out there love that version of me, but like it attracts different weird people who in themselves are just themselves, and I also benefit from that. And so I think 100% we can define our lives by the things that we do. That's first off. And then I think the consequences of your life is not something you can live up to witness. You can a bit in where you're here, and that comes with family. And I think that's why I always preach that, you know, the people that will live on after you, if you really want to do that, is just the people that you affect. Inanimate objects, like the things that we do, the things that we try to achieve, they get washed. There's sands on the beach, man. They get washed. Tears in the rain. The tears in the rain. You can understand it gets washed in time. But the people that you affect, that's what stays. That's what stays. That's what stands the tens of time. The generations and the descendants that come after you, based on, I guess, the culture you create, the family that you create. I think beings that have that kind of serendipity. Beings carry on your will. Beings carry on your ideas. That's why I always preach for family. But I think the things that we do, and I think you might disagree, but the things that we do, they have meaning to us in a moment. They have meaning to who we are, because we're all heading somewhere. We want to feel like we're doing something towards that end. But then when we die, I think that's it. I think it has a life of its own. Maybe it goes up, down, maybe, but in the end, it will get washed away by time. And everything we're doing is Sisyphus. We're gonna rock up a mountain just to see it roll back down when we die. That's not to be morbid and to be like, don't try anything. And I think that's what the people who are pessimistic say. Like, what's the point if it's just going to come back down the hill? But you have to understand that, like, first off, the rolling the rock up the hill teaches you something about life. It coming back down, the forces that bring it back down, or whoever rolls it back up again, that's got nothing to do with you. I think playing your role and understanding what role that you've been given on this earth to do. That's why I always ask, it's not what we think about life, it's not about what life means to us, about what we mean to life. You know, we have to find the meaning, see your meaning in your life, take a look around you. What can you do that people will need? Maybe it's a kind word here. Maybe it's being a better friend, a better family member, whatever it is. Maybe he's making a podcast video. I keep calling it stupid. It's not stupid. Maybe he's making a podcast video and just, like, you know, saying stuff out loud to the abyss, and then seeing what people hear from that and take from that. You know, whatever, no matter what it is, we don't know, and we can only control our output, never the things that it does when it goes out. I think that's the same thing for life. We can only control what we give, never what people do with what we give. And as writers, we understand that we can only write what we write. People can perceive it in the way that we meant, or in a completely different way. We won't know when we die. And so it's like just all about output, channeling the version of you who you really are, and just letting the world see that truly who you are. Is the only thing you can do. I think that's the part about life. That's the beauty about life, man. It's like you have no other tasks, you have no other responsibilities, but just be who you are and love and show genuineness and work hard. And I mean, these are low responsibilities, I know, but I'm saying that we don't have much control over what happens, and in that aspect of it, it's the letting go of it. You know, that I can only do what I can do, and then the rest of it is up to the people that pick it up. And that's what we've been doing. Like, all the writers that we like, all we've done is pick up their work and just, I think he means this, and I think he means that. Maybe people like, I have no idea what you guys are talking about, but he's not here, and they're not here, and it's up to us to do what we can do. And I mean, like I said, like, we have a finite time here. We're all walking each other home. Not to be morbid, not to end on a morbid note, but yeah, we're all walking each other home, and I think that's the beauty of it. So really, don't worry about how it all play out, because you will never know. Like, no matter how scientific we get, we'll never know what happens after we die. What we can know is what we know here, what we can touch, what we can feel, what we can do, what we can see. Let's do that. Let's focus on that. Thank you. I mean, these are some amazing questions. It took me some insane places. I have no idea what I said during this episode. I have to go back and now listen to myself waffling on for long enough about just whatever ideas just came to my mind when I just did this, and I just channeled it. But thank you so much for watching. This might be a very long episode. It might be like over an hour. So if you watch all the way through, thank you very much. I really like this. You know, I think I started this podcast with the idea that I just wanted to talk to interesting people about interesting things, and it just become so much more than that. Become away from me and my friends to catch up about life, I guess. It's like, just, we have the idea, okay, talk about this interesting thing, but then it just, over the course of the conversation, becomes whatever we feel like it, and we're all growing and we're all going through things. And to capture that week to week or month to month, whenever I speak to these people, it's changing me. And I know on a molecular level it's changing me. Like, molecular, maybe not, maybe unconscious level, it's changing me, making me more sharper, making more ability to just think through ideas. And I'm talking to different people about different topics, and it's like, not one person thinks the same as the other person. So it's like, this is an amazing journey. And like, to be 25 episodes in, I thank every one of you that's put these questions through. Even the people that didn't get the questions through, we have a next time, don't worry about it. But I think every one of you that has volunteered or have just said yes to being on it. I hope to have way more people on it. I hope to have you guys on it again. Hope to continue doing this for however many episodes. But 25 is a good start. And I thank you. I thank every single one of you for watching and for just taking time to just, watch me on this journey that I'm on, battling about deep topics to the abyss. Maybe it's not the abyss, because you're staring back. All right, that's enough for me for one day. I'm maybe getting delirious. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you see you next time. Peace.